Welcome in friends, Dragon here for our first ever Hero Spotlight. Today we will explore the abilities, some lore, and the best content where this hero performs. Today's hero is none other than Thoran, the fallen king of the Graveborn faction. Thoran, a once trusting ruler, met his downfall due to betrayal. Upon resurrection, consumed by thoughts of only vengeance, he seeks to restore the Bantus Kingdom's glory by reclaiming the stolen Graveborn relic. His court is comprised of devoted followers, while protesters face banishment. Thoran's connection to a group of Graveborn with a hunger for life force remains shrouded in mystery. Despite his scorn for Graveborns retaining memories of their past lives, his attitude towards the gods is indifferent. Traces of the Bantus Kingdom's naval history linger around Rustport, adding depth to Thoran's quest for redemption. Enough about this dusty old king's past, let's jump right into why Thoran is a must-have for any account. With his skill 1, Soul Plunder, this unlocks at level 11. Cooldown of 15 seconds and a range of a global reach. This means that it can go anywhere on the field. Thoran's targets a non-soul plundered enemy with the highest HP and drains 18% of the target's current HP to increase his max HP by the same amount. He also makes this target receive 13% more damage for the rest of the battle, drained HP limit up to 600% of Thoran's attack. Skill 1 is a massive W for any tank to have. Not only does this allow for Thoran to enjoy self-healing, he also makes sure that his team is able to deal more damage to the target. I know this next skill should speak for itself. Thoran's second skill is Resurrection. This one unlocks at level 31. It has a one-time use per battle unless there is other characters on the field like Niru that can give him a revive within itself, and then it resets that cooldown as well, or keeps that cooldown if it hasn't been used. Thoran will resurrect with 40% of his max HP after a short time when defeated. The effect can be triggered once per battle. Thoran can heal himself with skill 1. His skill 2 we just saw is a revive, and to think that it couldn't get any better. Thoran's ultimate is the greatest full counter passed down to him by Meliodas himself. Ultimate, Soul Retaliation, unlocks at level 1, has a cooldown of 0. Obviously, this is going to be whenever he gets his energy up to be able to use his ultimate. This initial energy is 200. Thoran charges up for some time to slash at enemies in range, dealing 200% damage plus 180% of the damage received during the charge. He also gains 20% life drain. Thoran is unaffected while casting this skill. Up next, the devs said let's crack him out even further, give old buddy a soul link where he gets basically a second revive, and yeah, that sounds nice. Next up on Thoran's arsenal of skills is his EX skill, Soul Pact. Unlocks after reaching Mythic Plus, so this one takes a little bit of investment to get to, but trust me, it's well worth it. This one has a range of global, and the way that it's used is before the battle starts, Thoran signs a pact with an ally on the tile behind him, agreeing to take 50% of this damage for this ally until the battle ends. When Thoran is defeated, this ally sacrifices 85% of their current HP to save and heal Thoran by 150% of the portion's HP. After that, Thoran no longer takes damage for this ally. Now we're going to talk about Thoran's pros and cons. With one of the highest outputs and damages as a tank, Thoran excels above the rest within his class. He is able to dish out damage, he has a self-revive and a second revive once Mythic Plus is there basically, so he is a very sustainable tank on the field. The problem with this is that Thoran is very brittle within himself. His HP and his defense stats are not the highest in the tank category, so they allow for a lot of damage to be output on him. That's why we have these skills to bring him back a couple times and to protect him from being knocked off of the field, giving all the other players and stuff like that on the field the proper chance to output damage, get their skills off, and start to ramp. One of the problems that I find with Thoran, if not paired with the correct characters, then his self-resurrection can play a problem rather than a solution. What I mean by this is if Thoran uses his resurrection, he becomes untargetable by anyone for a couple of seconds, which means that all of the backline and all of the frontline on the enemy team can start making their way to your damage dealers and healers. The problem with this is that when he uses this, his skill makes him untargetable for a couple of seconds, which means everyone is going to pass right by him. A way to kind of combat against this is to use a second tank or a second healer that will just keep him alive before his phase go down, or like a Rowan on the team that starts to ramp your backline characters and other healers to get them in a position to survive a couple of attacks while Thoran then takes aggro again. Another caveat with Thoran is that his ultimate is a hit or a miss. Unfortunately, once he starts casting it, he will throw it in the direction of which he first casted it. There are players like Tamesia, Marilee, Vala, and Sylvina, any of these characters that can move around the map, that can get out of the range of his ultimate and just leave it as a wasted skill. So be careful with this if you're not on auto mode, and make sure to aim his ultimate accordingly. Last up, there's really no spot that Thoran can't fill. He fits in the Dream Realm, he fits in on arena teams, and he also does well on AFK stages. If you're in the end game and you've unlocked the Trials of Abyss, he's also a very staple character for some of the early stages in that. So use Thoran with all his might, check out all his skills, and try him out on different teams, and let me know how he does for you. Thank you guys for stopping by. This was our first Hero Spotlight.